Hey guys, welcome back to the MCUHQ. And before I even get into what I'm talking about, I want to preface this by saying this is not going to be an edit heavy video. There's not going to be clips or images I'm going to show. I'm just going to be speaking from the heart here. So if you just want to put this on in the background while you're doing something else, go for it, because there's not going to be that much interesting stuff to look at in this video. I want to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, or more specifically, why I'm worried about Spider-Man No Way Home. And I also want to talk a bit about why I haven't been covering it outside of the video about Alfred Molina's interview about being in the movie, about why I haven't been covering it outside of that. So I guess we should just hop into it here. I have a lot of notes that I wrote, and we'll just see how long this goes. Yesterday, I came to the realization that Spider-Man No Way Home is a movie that has been set up to fail in about every way that it can be. I honestly think it might be the MCU's first, true failure, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit. But before I even do that, I just want to mention what's in this movie, what's not in this movie, why all that worries me. Because Spider-Man Far From Home left us with a very big cliffhanger. And after that movie, we were promised a sequel that is going to focus on Peter Parker's identity crisis. And then a couple images came out when the title dropped, and it was Peter, Ned, and MJ. And this was even after we had known about all the multiverse rumors, but, it made it seem like that's still going to be the main focus of the movie, is the identity crisis. The No Way Home title might be a reference to Peter not really being safe anywhere. But then there's all the multiverse rumors that we're getting. And for people saying, oh, the multiverse isn't going to happen, yes, it is. If it wasn't obvious yet, back when he was cast as Electro in this very movie, Jamie Foxx posted a picture of the 3 Spider-Men and said something like, "It's good to be back," or whatever the caption was. And then he deleted the post. And then from there, if it wasn't obvious, we of course get the Alfred Molina interview talking about being in the movie. Sure, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have denied it, but everyone denies that. And so what are we getting with this multiverse, right? We'd be getting Toby and Andrew, who I am 100% sure are going to be in this movie. On top of that, we're probably getting Kirsten Dunst as MJ and Emma Stone as Gwen. I'm going to go into that in a minute. And then a bunch of the villains. Doc Ock, Electro, the Sandman rumors. We just saw the Lizard rumors. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. Dane DeHaan also said he's not back as Green Goblin, and I believe that. They wouldn't have 2 Green Goblins. I think they'd want to go with Willem Dafoe. And my issue with this is these are all characters with complete arcs. Toby, look, people want Spider-Man 4. I don't want Spider-Man 4. Because I think the ending of Spider-Man 3 is a great ending for Toby. The whole story, the very first lines of his first Spider-Man movie are, "This story's about a girl." That's one of the first things he says. At the end of Spider-Man 3, he has that girl. He is Spider-Man. He's free of the black suit. He's free of his ego and his selfishness, right? And Harry's gone. He's forgiven Sandman. He's come to terms with Uncle Ben's death. All that. There's no loose ends at the end of Spider-Man 3, which is why I don't want Spider-Man 4, which is also why I don't want Toby to return. Because if you bring Toby back in this movie, what do you do with his arc? Where do you go from the ending of Spider-Man 3? the only thing they'd be doing is milking the fact that people love Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. And that brings me into Andrew Garfield, because the situation with him is not as bad as Tobey, because obviously he was supposed to get at least one more Spider-Man movie. There might have been more. I do still kind of take issue with it. I'll explain after I run through these characters, like the main reason I take issue with this. So it's not as bad to bring Andrew back, but it's just they don't need to. And then, what's the purpose of Mary Jane being in it? And Gwen's arc is done. She died in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and don't bring her back. And also, if they don't bring her back, but they instead bring back Spider-Gwen, that would be even more explaining that they're going to have to do on top of what they already have to do in that movie with everything that's in it. Now, villains. Green Goblin. His arc's finished. Doc Ock, one of the best villains in a comic book movie. His arc's finished. The only thing you can do is ruin it. Bringing back Thomas Hayden Church as Flint Marko. Look, Flint, I know you're supposed to say Doc Ock is the best villain in the Holy Trilogy, but not to me. To me, it's Sandman. I love Sandman's ending. What are you going to do? Bring him back, make him a villain again? I don't see Lizard coming back because Lizard ended with Kurt Connors, the Lizard's gone. It's just Kurt Connors realizing what he's done. The only one that would make any sense to bring back is Electro. You can actually give him a shot at being a cool villain. But when you take the Sinister Six, that's looking like it's going to be characters from different Earths, and maybe they'll have Vulture, maybe they'll have Scorpion, maybe they'll have a couple of these MCU villains, but for the most part, these are all villains from different Spider-Man universes that are done with their arcs, so the only thing you're doing is just making those stories and those movies redundant. And, of course, the rumors don't stop there. We never got confirmation, but the rumor's still out there that Daredevil's in this movie. We know Doctor Strange is in this movie. Skrulls are part of the Spider-Man universe now because of the other Far From Home cliffhanger. Basically, what I'm saying is that it's a lot. It seems unfocused, it seems convoluted, and it seems messy. I feel like a lot of these were last-minute Sony decisions because Spidey would have left the MCU in, I think it was late July, right after Far From Home came out, and then they renegotiated the deal. And that's when we started getting multiverse rumors. I think it was always supposed to be picking up with the Far From Home cliffhanger. And then Sony was like, if you want Spidey in the MCU, you have to do this for us. But, so, as I'm mentioning all these characters, none of these characters are originally from the MCU, except, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, Ned, Zendaya's MJ, any Sinister Six villains in the, Vulture, Mysterio, or Scorpion, any of them, or Shocker. But the main rumored villains, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is rumored to be the main villain of the film. Now, here's the issue with this. They'll have to reintroduce all these characters and explain all of these characters. Because you can't have just seen the previous MCU films. You can't have just seen the previous MCU Spider-Man films. That's something that works well with the MCU. Is if you want to watch a certain franchise, a certain character, like to follow Cap's story, you only have to watch Cap 1, Avengers, Cap 2, Age of Ultron, Cap 3, and then Infinity War and Endgame, right? That's something they do well, and they keep all the characters kind of in the universe, right? Like, why did Infinity War work? Well, that's because the other 71 characters in Infinity War had been set up gradually over a course of 10 years. So the only character they needed to set up in Infinity War was Thanos. Now, why did Spider-Verse work? And this is the important one. Why did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse work? Why is this movie one of the greatest comic book movies ever? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the big ones is that Toby, Andrew, and Tom aren't in it. Which means the movie doesn't need to waste its time explaining where these three guys came from. It doesn't need to try to shoehorn Tom Holland around through universes and make it just confusing for more people. It keeps its story contained. None of the characters in Into the Spider-Verse were in different franchises, so you only need to watch Into the Spider-Verse to understand Into the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man No Way Home doesn't get that luxury. If you have not watched every previous live-action Spider-Man movie going into Spider-Man No Way Home, you will have no clue what's happening, which means the movie needs to then explain where Toby came from, where Andrew came from, and where all these villains came from. And on top of that, if Charlie Cox is in this as Daredevil, it needs to reintroduce Daredevil. And people are like, but Daredevil's already in the MCU. First off, no, he's not. And second, that show is not family friendly. The MCU has been built on being family friendly. Daredevil's not that. So if they're going to take Daredevil out of the Netflix universe and put him in the MCU, they have a lot of explaining to do, because a little kid who can watch the 23 MCU movies we have, plus WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, cannot watch Daredevil. And so what does all this explaining of other characters do? What does having this many other characters from different universes do? Well, it takes the focus away from Tom Holland's Peter Parker and that story that we were supposed to get at the ending of Far From Home. Where's the focus on Peter? Where's the focus on Ned? Where's the focus on MJ? Honestly, the only crossover character that doesn't take away from Peter Parker's storyline is Doctor Strange. And the only reason for that is he'll probably be a cameo, and also, following the comics, he helps deal with Peter's identity being revealed to everyone. And one other thing I want to mention about Infinity War is another reason Infinity War worked is they didn't decide to do it. Infinity War was set up for years. I mean, they decided to do it when they were going into Phase 2, which is why Thor the Dark World had the Ether and the Infinity Stones. But Guardians was when they really went for it. And Kevin Feige was like, hey, James Gunn, the one thing you need to do is set up Thanos and the Infinity Stones in this movie. So for years, they were planning Infinity War. So when it came around, we were building to it. No Way Home didn't have build-up. Homecoming was not building towards No Way Home. Far From Home was not building towards No Way Home. WandaVision and Doctor Strange, let's be real, until the Sony deal was altered, they were not building to No Way Home. This just came out of nowhere, and it's just going to pop up. Which I don't like, because we know what happens when movie franchises do that. And it's like the one reason that the MCU has been as successful as it has, because they build up. They don't just do things. So now let's talk about why I have not been covering this movie at all, besides that one video I did. That's because I don't want to be part of the reason this movie's going to fail. I don't want to be talking about all the rumored characters who are showing up. I don't want to talk about an article claiming Charlie Cox was seen on set. I don't want to talk about something claiming they saw Tobey Maguire. I don't want to do that. I don't want to contribute to that theory train. And yeah, as I've said, I think all of that's going to be in the movie. But what if it's not in the movie? Because I'll tell you right now, if it is in the movie, there's going to be outcry, because bringing back all these characters that are dead and have had completed arcs will ruin the endings of the past Spider-Man movies. But if none of this stuff is in the movie, let's just say everything we've been hearing is not true, then the outcry will be even worse. It'll be like how upset people were at the end of WandaVision times 100, because people cherish these characters that are supposed to be showing up in this movie. Everyone's expecting these characters. You cannot look up No Way Home without seeing some thread about seeing Tobey Maguire in this movie, without seeing anything about Doc Ock being in this movie. The entire world is expecting the multiverse and these characters to be in it. What happens if they're not? People aren't going to like the movie because they feel they were lied to for listening to these rumors and these leaks and all these videos on the internet that people put out saying, hey, look, it's a plot leak. And then they just Photoshop a picture from Amazing Spider-Man 2 into a Doctor Strange portal and then take a really crappy picture on their phone to make it look official. And so I feel that if I make videos talking about the multiverse, or if I make videos talking about how the multiverse isn't in it, I am contributing to one of the sides that's going to hate this movie when it comes out, regardless of what's in it. So I decided I'm better off not talking about this movie until we at least have a trailer, which, rumor has it, will be in 2 days. I'm not saying I'm not excited about the movie. I'm not saying I'm going to hate it regardless of when it comes out. That's why I'm not covering it. But I can't help but be really worried that the movie's going to be rough. We've seen what's happened with Spider-Man 3s. They've been cursed. Spider-Man 3 had too much stuff in it. Amazing Spider-Man 2 had too much stuff in it, and what happened? Amazing Spider-Man 3 was canceled. Spider-Man No Way Home seems like it's going to have a lot of stuff in it. Seems like it's going to be unfocused, it's going to be choppy, and it's going to be convoluted. And on top of that, it has a chance to worsen the previous 5 Spider-Man movies. I just want a movie set in New York City of Peter Parker trying to deal with the fact that the world knows his identity. That's all I want. But at this point, I think it's pretty clear I'm not going to get that. I think it's pretty clear that's not the movie Sony wants to tell, and Sony gets to tell what they want because otherwise they'll just take Spidey out of the MCU. So it's like they just got Marvel Studios and Disney by the balls. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. Just know now, the internet will be on fire in a couple days. And I say a couple days because all it's going to take is the trailer to come out. Because let me tell you what's going to happen when the trailer comes out. The trailer will either be typical Sony fashion and show spoilers, show the ending, show the multiverse characters in their full glory, and then you'll get 2 complaints. 1, spoilers, and 2, they're actually doing it. And if it's a trailer that just focuses on the Far From Home cliffhanger, you know what you're going to hear? That the multiverse isn't in it and that we were lied to. So be ready for that, and be ready for months of that, because it's going to happen when the trailer comes out. It's going to happen when the second trailer comes out. Knowing Sony, it's going to happen when the spoiler-filled 3rd trailer comes out, and it's going to happen after the movie came out. And that's why I say this is the first MCU movie that's going to fail. Not financially, but the reception to it will be largely negative because the internet has set this movie up to fail. No matter which thing ends up happening, multiverse or not, the majority of people are going to be mad about this movie. And how do I know that the internet is going to throw a fit over this movie no matter what happens? Because of the last video I made on No Way Home. The only video, really, that I made on No Way Home. Look at the like to dislike on that. People are divided on multiverse or not multiverse. And if a YouTube video of a guy sharing his opinion on this subject, if that happens, what's going to happen with the movie? And that's all I have to say about that. Just wanted to get that off my chest because I've had a lot of thoughts about this particular movie and things that are going to happen. So now I just wait for the trailer, see how the trailer looks, and then see how the internet acts for the next few months.